From the city to rural North America, this is Rural America Live, connecting the people who grow America's food and fiber with those who enjoy it. Call in, let's talk. It's Rural America Live.
More and more grain and forage producers are realizing the importance of overall soil health. Monty's Plant Food Company offers a natural soil enhancement and plant fertility program. And while many in agriculture focus on what happens above the ground with the plant, Monty's Plant Food focuses as well what's happening below the ground and better soil health. Tonight we're going to talk a lot about the influence that Monty's liquid carbon is having on soil health all across the country, the many success stories that producers are sharing and they're seeing in their fields firsthand. I'm Mark Oppold and welcome to Rural America Live with our friends from Monty's Plant Food back with us. I'm joined in studio tonight again by Joe Dedman, a great friend now. After these years, he's Vice President of Agronomy with Monty's Plant Food. Also tonight, John Langdon, interested to talk to him and for you to hear his comments. He's a grower from North Carolina who uses Monty's Plant Food in their livestock operation as well. Welcome to Rural America Live, Joe, and John as well.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks.
Thank you, Mark. Good to have you here. Let's, by the way, we're going to be later meeting another producer from Northwest Ohio who also has had success with Monty's products, and we'll be taking your telephone calls later in the program as well. Joe, again, good to see you as always. A great afternoon to spend with you before the evening show. Let's talk a little bit about overall soil health, and Monty's liquid carbon is really making a story and its name for itself across the country.
Before we get to soil health, I'll mention that I brought my wife with me tonight.
Oh, yeah.
First time she's ever been here, and she really loves it. So we welcome Sandy to the show.
It was great.
today.
Yeah, great to meet Sandy. You should have brought her before.
I know, that's what she said.
And you have a big anniversary coming up later this year.
Toward the end of this year, be 45 years.
How about that? Good to have her here.
Yeah.
So important marriage, and you got to keep that, but I'm not sure it goes together with soil health, but probably does.
There is some relationships there, yes. But no, Monty's has really been focused on soil health for the last several years. In fact, we've talked about that here on other programs. Mm-hmm. But also not just us, but in the news articles, the magazine articles, you're seeing more and more articles pertaining to soil health and what in the world impact that has upon crops and production and yield levels. And we are seeing a tremendous correlation between soil health and the production of crops, that we get better production, farmers get better results from the things they apply to their soil, and it's really all related to soil health. In fact, we went to the trouble to put together a video that would help demonstrate that, teach farmers about humics and why there is a difference.
Yeah, humics, and we're going to talk. You're going to hear about Monty's liquid carbon a lot during this hour.
That's
so
right.
Let's start by taking a look at again the video Joe talked about, and a little bit about humics and what humics are all about.
Farmers continue to discover the value of humic technology and the incredible impact it has on their production. Monty's has been a pioneer in the field of humic technology for more than 30 years. We were utilizing humics to help farmers maximize yields before they were widely known. Our farmers have experienced unprecedented success with their crops using our humic technology. So what are humics, and how can they have such an impact on the soil and crops? Well, it all starts with raw brown coal. This is raw brown coal. It's primarily organic matter composed of inactive, insoluble humic substances, which includes humic and fulvic acids. These substances are found in nature and have many valuable properties to soil and plants. The problem with humic acids in their natural state is that most are non-activated and of little value, which means they are not as effective to plants and soils. Now let's talk about humics in the marketplace. Most humic products on the market are not active and of little value. There's quite a bit of confusion with products and the percentage of humics. Some products may tout lower or higher percentages of humic content. So how does this percentage impact the performance of humics? There is no industry standard yet for tests that tell us how much humic acid is in a product. Different tests give different percentages, and the percentages do not tell us if the humic is in its most active state. Remember, humics in their natural state are insoluble. Don't focus on percentages. What's important is solubility. Monty's humics are highly bioactive and soluble. Some other products are spread on a field and they just sit there. They don't dissolve into the soil, meaning they are non-beneficial to your crops. Another crucial part of this science is the highly bioactive status of our humics. Monty's humics have the optimum ratios to provide for maximum success. We understand the right concentration of humic substances to maximize biological stimulation. We complement both the soil and plant because we understand the importance of that relationship. This is our advantage. Today's farmers deal with many issues that affect the health of their soil. The most significant is soil compaction. This prevents the roots from penetrating deeper in the soil, limiting access to water and important nutrients. Monty's activated humic technology helps relieve compaction and density often found in all soil types. This includes conventional and no-till farming. It is designed to improve drainage and nutrient efficiency in all soil types, even in the most extreme climate and soil conditions. It also provides more oxygen for healthy root system growth. As you can see, a simple test using corn, wheat, and soybean seeds in petri dishes show the difference Monty's can make. The seeds on the bottom were soaked in water. The seeds on the top were soaked in Monty's liquid carbon. After a few days, the difference is obvious. Plus, it's cleaner. You can mix Monty's with other products and see the compatibility and the difference. Monty's products are the ideal, clean solution farmers are looking for healthier soil. Monty's products are designed to complement or manage your crop throughout the growing season to maximize the success of your harvest. Our proprietary humic technology is unmatched in bringing solutions to farmers.
Wow, great information there. And maybe back up a half step again, Joe, and just as we mentioned at the top of the show, a lot of people, and rightfully so, paying attention to what's above the ground, that plant and the production, but what you're doing well as above the ground is even more so what's going on below the ground.
Yeah, because most farmers probably have focused for years above ground as well as their co-ops, but we kind of miss the point that there's as much going on underground as there is above ground. And so we have begun to focus on the soil biology, the ecosystem there, because we know that is what does the work. And it helps to release the nutrients for the crops, and it helps to maximize all of their inputs that they're doing on their farm. And we need that biology. There's a huge mixture of biology in the soil, and every single one of those biology does something different to grow that crop. And without the biology, we couldn't really get the kind of production that we get today. So if we happen to increase the biology with our product, which is what they saw in the video, that's where we're starting to get big differences in yield for farmers.
And again, the benefits?
The benefits, as you've seen on the screen, is very rich with humics in the soil, but it's also related to an activated humic technology, of which ours is, unlike other humics on the marketplace, and we get all of things that you see. You get a lot more photosynthesis, respiration, root growth, and even helping with nitrogen stabilization. We get more conversion of fertilizers into the plant foods that the crop needs. And then most of all, out of all of this, it increases that soil health, which is very beneficial for the crop that's growing on it.
I don't think you can emphasize enough. We're not a fertilizer. No. It's a plant food.
Yes, that's true. Our product is different than most everybody else's on the marketplace. There's fertilizers, and then fertilizers has to be converted to plant food. Well, that's what we've already done. We've converted it. It's true plant food. And when you have true plant food, you don't need as much of it because the plant responds very quickly when you put the plant food on it.
Well, we have one of two producers that you've invited tonight. I'm glad you did. John Langdon joining us from North Carolina. John, we're so glad you're here and want to give you a chance before we start here to talk a little bit about your big operation there in North Carolina, livestock operation.
Well, Mark, I'm honored to be here. I thank Monty for allowing me to be here, and I'd like to thank my wife, Eileen, for being with us. She left her full-time veterinary clinic to be here. I'd like to thank my two sons that are in college that are at home right now taking care of chores so I could allow me to be here, and my daughter that's her first day back to school today in college.
How about that? Yeah, it was great to meet Eileen. I'm glad you brought her, and it's a family network here, John, so please know that the families are invited and welcome here at RFD-TV and Rural Radio. Wow, tell us about the operation, hog and cattle operation there.
On our home farm, there's about 200 acres deeded, and I'm third generation farmer. My sons are fourth generation. We tend to total about 300 acres. We have about 10,400 head of hogs total under contract with Murphy Brown LLC, 8,033 for the home farm. With that being said, that's a lot of lagoons and hog effluent that we irrigate on our crops from the lagoons as our primary source of fertilization. Bermuda grass, corn, wheat, soybeans, ryegrass in the winter. We overseed everything in the winter. We've got continuous no-till and continuous roots program going on our farm.
We talk about that a little bit later as well. And you are very active in the livestock associations, crop associations, not just a member, but you are very active.
I'm president of the North Carolina Stormwater Conservation District Association, where I serve as Soil Commission member for 3 years and on the North Carolina Soil Foundation, Soil and Water Conservation Foundation. And I'm also a national board member for the Red Angus of America for the northeastern United States area.
I'm sure how you get all that work. I guess you got all that hired work at home there. The kids are helping you out there. Interesting. I want you to share with listeners and viewers how you found out about Monty's plant food.
Well, I was in my home watching RFD-TV, and I see Dr. Ron Heiniger from NC State University, which caught my ear, and he's a wheat specialist discussing managing residue. And I had a lot of residue from about 200 bushel corn yield. I had a lot of sover left after the Red Angus and some dog cattle had gleaned through and bush hog had got it. We still had a lot. And with being no-till, we sprayed the residue with Monty's plant food, irrigated with the hog lagoon water, which gives a source of nitrogen. Came back a couple of weeks later, sprayed again and planted with no-till drill, and the coulters just went through the material beautifully, good soil contact, as opposed to some of the ryegrass or rye ground that we planted in the same type of stover was giving us some issues of trying to get it planted in that thick stover.
That's a great story, Joe. You just love to hear those kinds of stories, and we are too, that you found out about us on RFD-TV, John. So again, you're a producer watching, maybe for the first time hearing about Monty's plant food. You could be sitting in John's chair here in about a year from now and give us your success story as well. In fact, let's go back and visit the Heiniger video that you talked about. And for those of you maybe who have not seen it, even if you have before, picking up some new tips from the video that we showed earlier.
I'm Dr. Ron Heiniger. I'm from North Carolina State University, the Department of Crop Science. I'm stationed out at the Vernon James Center here in Plymouth, North Carolina. My primary responsibilities lies in corn and wheat cropping systems. I do a lot of applied research in both of those, working with different management practices. What I do is I go out and look at different management practices in the field. We find out which ones are working best for the farmer, and then we go out and talk to farmers about what practices they should use, how to combine them with different management things like populations or hybrids to get the best results and highest economic returns. I conduct a number of different types of research, everything from plant physiology research, looking at silking, timing. In wheat, we do a lot of work on tiller development, trying to look at the physiology of the plant, determining how it determines when to put on tillers, when to actually cause a tiller to abort. Right now we're looking at seed weight in wheat, what causes seed weight to increase, what are the role of temperature and water in that process. In addition to that, as I said earlier, I do a lot of work with looking at different practices side by side with a checker, you know. Is this practice better than doing nothing at all? And how much more yield does it give the grower? Well, I recommend Monty's because it does a lot of things that plant really needs. First of all, it helps stimulate those tillers. When we went and looked at tiller development here over the last 3 to 5 years, we found out that one of the thing that plant needs is a lot of early growth, and Monty's carbon helps stimulate early root development and early growth and helps that plant set tillers. Tillers in a wheat plant are developed early. It's when that first 60 days after that plant comes up, that's the time to put tillers on. And an application of Monty's carbon at planting time helps stimulate that plant to grow faster, put more tillers on, and of course lead to better yields. The other things I've seen with Monty's products that I like a lot is reducing wheat burn. We do a lot of top dressing in wheat in North Carolina with liquid products like 30% UAN. Oftentimes it the time when it's heating up, that wheat's growing rapidly, it's very susceptible to leaf burn. So I like to put in a quart of Monty's carbon and to an acre, and it improves that plant's growth and resists that leaf burn that we oftentimes see with UAN. The one thing that I like about Monty's product is both the quality. I think that whenever you're buying a product like liquid carbon, you want a pure product that's not containing a lot of different things that may or may not have an adverse effect on the plant. Monty's is a very pure product. It's a product that works very well with mixes and in things like UAN. It mixes well because it doesn't have any other contaminants. So I really like that, the purity, the quality of the product. From what we've seen, our research actually showed that we get about 10 to 15 more bushels to an acre of wheat anytime we've used the Monty's product. So the farmer has a good opportunity when you get that kind of return on your yield to get a return on investment, particularly with wheat in the $7 range. It doesn't take too many bushels to pay for a Monty's application.
And that's the video that John Langdon saw about a year ago, and you got on the phone and and you found your local Monty's dealer. Is that how it worked?
That's how it worked.
And now look at you have a success story. In fact, let's kind of walk through the progression here on the farm there in North Carolina and the use and the discoveries of Monty's.
Well, like I mentioned a while ago, we sprayed it on the corn stove planted, and we had about a 10 bushel bump this year at harvest. With the way as good as the crop looked, we decided, well, we need to work on our corn. So we added it to our starter fertilizer, put a quart to the acre, and seed vigor and germination was superior this year. Did real good job. Now, a couple of years ago, we had a big rain event on our soybeans, and as I said earlier, we use a lot of effluent for fertility. And we didn't want to add more moisture to the ground since we're already having drought situations. So we sprayed our soybeans with the reproductive. And my son sprayed, and he come back and sprayed 4 days later with his fungicide. And he called me from the cab, and he says, "Dad, I don't know what this stuff was we sprayed on these soybeans, but I've never seen so many blossoms." So everything we do seems to have a response and a positive one.
We had a picture there of you standing in corn. That was, I mean, I'm from Iowa. That's tall corn state, and you were in some pretty tall corn there, weren't you?
That's right. And we only average about 95 bushels in our county, and we've exceeded 258 at home.
Mm-hmm. Wow, great. And John's story, Joe, is not uncommon. Again, what you're hearing, what's all about, you want to service these people and provide them with the great product, and that's what you're hearing across the country.
It is, and John is just one of the many stories that we're hearing from using our products that we've told guys about here on RFD-TV. He mentioned the AgriHance, so we got an AgriHance line of products, the S, the V, and the R. Our main flagship, of course, is the liquid carbon, and that's what we're talking most about tonight, because that's really where we want every farmer to start, is use that liquid carbon on their soils. It will contribute to the soil health. It's going to contribute to root mass, and everything else contributes to production above the ground.
Monty's wants to help you, and we have two producers. You're going to meet Matt Stoller a bit later in our program, but John will be here throughout the hour as well. We're opening our phone lines for you right now, 877-731-6733, or you can go online, rfdtv.com, and type in your questions, and we'll be answering those. Again, phone lines open, 877-731-6733. Before we get to break here, John, again, maybe kind of walk us through your story about the liquid carbon and the residue management part of the operation.
Well, as I had said earlier, we spread on our corn stover to plant our wheat, and in the summer we no-till soybeans behind wheat, so we spray on the wheat straw and plant in the stubble, and we also add the carbon to the soybean pop-up fertilizer or starter fertilizer as well, and we're really getting good responses from that. And I feel like overall soil health, the Monty's liquid carbon isn't costing us anything, and it causes you to go back the next year and go a little deeper with it.
You mentioned continuous no-till, which I understand, but then you mentioned earlier continuous root What do you make sure our listeners and viewers are following along, and it's very interesting out there the way you're doing it in North Carolina.
Continuous Roots is a program that's offered through NRCS, and we try to go no longer than 2 weeks any given time without a seed germinating in our soil. That means when we have soybeans ready to pick, we overseed before we pick with ryegrass or annual rye. So when we pick, we've already got a germinated crop for that fall that we can continue to irrigate out of our swine waste lagoons, and graze our beautiful red Angus and Simmental cattle on, and produce the genetics that we do and the local beef that we do with that.
So after the ryegrass, then what's the next seed that would go in the ground after that?
Well, the following year we had to come back with no-till corn. And plant in burn down and plant no-till corn. Over our Bermuda grass fields, we sow the ryegrass in the fall, and so it just naturally goes away. And in June, Bermuda grass is broke dormancy and it's going, so we never miss a beat. We got growing grass and growing roots year round.
There's a seed in the ground and using that Monty's plant food all year long.
Yes.
Interesting. That's just one of the many points we're going to be making during the hour. In fact, we want you to join our conversation. Phone lines are open, 877-731-6733. John is going to be leaving us here, but we'll return a bit later as well. We're going to continue our program, and you're going to meet Matt Stoller from the great state of Ohio. Coming up, Rural America Live continues right after this. Welcome back to Rural America Live with Monty's Plant Food Company. I'm Mark Oppold. Thanks for joining us. Before the break, we're talking about Monty's products and their many uses, a variety of different crops. We've already heard from John Langdon from North Carolina, and the successes that he has had on his farm operation with cattle and hogs, over 10,000 hogs on a contract basis, and the Red Angus operation, cow-calf, 80 cow-calf operation as well. Your calls are very important as well. Our lines are open. We welcome your telephone calls, questions you might have, comments about Monty's, or where you might be able to find it, 877-731-6733. Or as always, go on our website, RFD-TV.com/live, and you can type in your question. We'll still get it on the air to Joe, Matt, and to John. In fact, let me introduce Matt Stoller, a grower from Paulding, Ohio. Welcome to the show, Matt.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Mark.
Good to have you here in the great state of Ohio. Where is Spalding, in the northwest part?
Northwest Ohio, just east of Fort Wayne, Indiana, a little south of Toledo.
And it's a triple play. You brought your family with you tonight as well.
That's right. My wife, Christy, and my son, Tucker. So I'm fourth generation. He's fifth, and hopefully he's fifth. We'll see that down the road. So.
Yeah. Tell us more about that operation there in Paulding, Ohio.
Like I said, I'm fourth generation. I farm with my father, Don, and another gentleman named Francis. We farm corn, soybeans, and wheat, and we supply feed for a local dairy of about 5,500 cows, and do a custom silage business on the side.
And by the way, great to have Christy here. We were, like I mentioned before, a family network. Joe, it's been great. Joe bringing Sandy with us, so we're glad that Christy's here as well, and Tucker. So talk about so how long have you been using the Monty's products, and how did it start for you?
We started using the Monty's products about 5 years ago, and we started working with the Jewel Grain Company, and they introduced it to us. Land's hard to come by in our area, so we're trying to make every acre count. And trying to make every input that we have count. And we started with the Monty's Carbon, and it's grown from there to the Agri-Enhance products and S and V. So.
And again, the unique circumstances that you might have, maybe not exactly the same as John from North Carolina. Anything that you found in your operation, or soil issues that it might have addressed?
Well, the first one we found is that we have a farm beside a large quarry, and the pHs and everything are out of whack. And by mistake, flag got pulled, and I over-applied the carbon in a certain area. Saw a slight yield advantage that year, but when we pulled the soil test, where the carbon was double applied, we were seeing 30 pounds of more phosphorus available and another 100 pounds of potash available. There was no extra fertilizer applied. It was just the carbon making that much more fertilizer available. in the soil.
We have a video we're going to hear just to see a little bit here, Joe, from the Jewel Grain Company. We have a caller, though, I want to see, make sure we're not hanging on too long. We invited you to call. Again, our lines are open. I believe they are. I know phones are ringing, so don't wait too long to get your question in or a comment. We'd love to hear from you. 877-731-6733 is our toll-free number. We're going to go to New Hampshire for our first call, and this is Jack. Welcome.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I was calling to find out if the Monty product qualifies for organic status with farms that grow organic foragers and for livestock.
Mm-hmm. Joe?
Yes, that is true, Jack. In fact, you can even go on our website and see the OMRI certification. It is OMRI certified. It is true an organic product. We do have a lot of organic growers that use our product and are having great success with it on organic growing farms. So even if you need the OMRI certification, we can get that to you. Thanks for the call.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jack. Leading things off, and again, that means a line is open for you. And again, it's a toll-free call, 877-731-6733. Take a look at this video. The Jewel Grain Company, Matt already mentioned it. It's been a great partner for you for years.
They really have. They've been a great asset to us up in the Ohio area. And they too think like the farmers. They kind of think outside the box, and they bring in new products. And they've had our products for probably the 5 or 6 years that Matt's been using it. And so they're a great support to our team.
All right, let's go to Jewel Grain and learn more.
The Jewel Grain Company is located we're in the northwest corner of Ohio. We service Indiana, Ohio, and Michigan.
Our farmers raise corn, wheat, soybeans, and alfalfa.
We began selling Monty's products 5 years ago. Had a local farmer that had won a barrel of the Calcium Plus at the local farm show, and I was rather hesitant to use the product, to put it on his fields, because I've used these kind of products before and had less than good results.
One of his neighbors drove by the field, seen the quality of the way the field looked like, and he come up to me, and matter of fact, it was more than one or two customers come up to me and say, hey, whatever he put on his field, I want it on my field next year.
We're using the Monty's products on corn in our pop-up fertilizers and on foliar, along with soybeans pop-up and foliar, along with wheat and alfalfa.
The last few years, the increase of fertilizer prices just got out of line, so we use the Monty's to supplement into our fertilizer. We know we still need to use the regular fertilizers, but if we can save the farmer 20-30%, that's big for our guys.
The Monty's products have been working very well for us. We've seen increase in test weight, plant health, and yield.
Our in-the-row seed applications of Monty's is going to help us a lot in the fact that we can use less product. We can go farther with each fill. That's time, and time is money in the spring. With the weather situation that we've had in the last 5-6 years, we don't have the luxury of going out there and spend a lot of time. We have to do a lot in a short period of time. With the Monty's products, we don't have to fill as much, and it goes farther.
The Monty's products in the row on the seed, the Monty's creates a good environment for the seed to get started, to get emerged, and gives it a healthy start.
The microorganisms down there, they'll grow again. We've killed them because we went from I think an organic soil 40 years ago to a mineral soil. We have no live organisms out there. We have no night crawlers out there. The Monty products, I'm hoping, will do the same thing that they did 40 years ago by plowing down clover, plowing down manure. I'm thinking the Monty's Calcium Plus our other products are going to be here for a long time. As we get into the future down through there, I think it's going to be a staple to these guys in the fields. They're going to use a lot because of the cost savings and what it's going to do to their soils.
Wow. Great testimony there, Joe.
Yes,
several different ones. Just a couple things that we want to pull out of there.
Well, and they mentioned all the kinds of crops that farmers grow, all three, corn, soybeans, wheat. But you know, even Pete there toward the end went right back to soil health, didn't he? Earthworms, things that we need to see in the soil we haven't been seeing very much of. And so that's exactly what our product does. It starts increasing that soil biology, and that's where you start getting better yields.
And people say, Matt Stoller with us from Ohio, I put a lot of manure on my field and doesn't seem like it does what it used to do. And talk about your manure application process and the mixing together with the Monties.
Well, like I said, we supply feed for a 5,000 head dairy that's in our neighborhood. But when we started getting the manure from that, with all the sodiums and the extra, there's a lot of volume there from 5,000 cows. We was worried about high sodium levels and getting the soil out of whack. With the carbon, it's keeping everything in place. And it makes everything that's available, so the nutrients that you are getting with that manure is getting transferred into the plant. So.
All right, we've had a couple of calls here that are waiting, and we thank you for taking us up on our offer. If you are just joining us, we're joined by Monty's Plant Food and our two producers, one from Ohio, one from North Carolina. Matt Stoller with us right now, and we're going to go to Indiana, the great state, Becky Hirsch says, and she's probably right. Great state there, isn't it, Chuck? Indiana?
Yes, it is.
Thanks.
We're from Northwest Indiana. We're just a rural people. We got a couple acres here. I'm just a gardener, but I've been gardening ever since we've been married for 53 years.
Congratulations.
This is the first year I really used Monty's liquid carbon on my ground. I just use compost, and I rototill in the garden up in the fall. After I pull everything out, I plant winter wheat or rye, and then in the spring I till it down. And this year I had the best corn that I've had. After we cleaned the corn out, I took and pulled the stalks out, and I had a hard time getting them out. My root system was a lot more robust than I've ever seen it. We've had some strong winds in the past. My corn would usually be laying over partially. And this year, we had some moderate winds go through, and my corn was still standing pretty much straight up like it should. And I was very impressed with it. I put it on other items we planted, and I just noticed a big difference. My worm structure in the ground, I see a lot more worms. Those little critters running around in the ground, I can't figure out what they are or see them, but they sure must have helped.
Mother Nature puts them there, yeah.
I would strongly recommend it to anybody.
Thank you. Thanks for the call.
Chuck.
Appreciate that. For sharing, Chuck. Appreciate that. And he speaks well. We were going to cover that. You know, we're talking corn, beans, wheat, but people that are watching that have gardens, tomatoes, fruit, vegetable orchards, fruit, any kind of plant.
That's the beautiful part of our product. It works on any soil, any crop, any tree, plant, you name it, it works on it.
How about your lawn? If your lawn isn't as green as you think it should be, what would you do if somebody's watching and say, "Oh, my lawn really needs something, Joe? What should I do?"
I'd start with the carbon and treat your lawn, because lawns are really no different than pastures for cows that eat the pasture. So it will beautify your lawn. It will release the nutrients. It helps the root system, as the Chuck just said out of Indiana. That's exactly what it does.
Very good.
On my lawn.
Yeah, you use it on the lawn product too. It's all right. We're going to go from Indiana to New York, and Tony has joined us. Tony, welcome.
Hey, how you doing?
Just fine. Thanks for the call.
All right. I need a quarter pound of boar's head bologna sliced thin and a half on the...
How about the operation out there? Maybe he's not with us any, but you have the dealers. Thanks for the call. Anyway, Tony, anywhere in the country, New York, Indiana. We had a call from New Hampshire. Talk about the distribution of Monty's around the country.
Well, and it's growing. Our RFD-TV has really helped us. We go through lots of network dealers that we have out there. In fact, farmers can find many of our dealers on the website. But we also go through independent dealers such as the Jewel Grains and others in the country. But it is growing very rapidly, and as we focus more and more on soil health, our product is the answer. It's provided the answers for farmers and gardeners and homeowners for everything.
And Matt, back to your, I think the main thing that you talked about over and over in our meetings, I want you to talk a little more. I mean, we've obviously hit on it very hard already, is the manure handling. You talked about a drag line. Just impressive to the people that weren't aware of something like that. Literally miles of line. You don't take that manure across the field in a tank because that's deals with soil compaction.
Yeah, we're in Northwest Ohio. We're what was the black swamp back before it settled, and we're very heavy clay. We tell people that come to our place that you can look across the field and you can see where they make concrete. So the carbon helps get in the soil and helps. It's really improved our soil tilth too. Mm-hmm. I mean, you don't see all the benefits that you do in 1 year. The more and more we use it, the more benefits we're seeing. But yeah, with the manure, we drag line on. It'll string out 3 to 4 miles at a time. And they pump 1 million gallons a day between each drag line, and we may be having 3 drag lines running on a single day.
1 million gallons a day. Wow. Mm. Yeah. Good use. And before that, I mean, before you were using the Monties, or has that been something that's from the very beginning of you putting on the fertilizer or the manure in this way? But talk about maybe before and after.
Before we were getting the fertilizer, but we weren't sure we were keeping it all and maintaining it. Now we feel that the fertilizer's getting there and it's getting to the plant. We're not having to add extra commercial fertilizers, shall we say, so it's helped us reduce our fertilizer costs quite a bit.
Joe, you have a lot of examples. We just tried to pick as many as we can from around the country. There's a Reggie Baker you wanted to share with our viewers and listeners.
Reggie's another great grower in North Carolina that's been using our product now for, I think, around 3 years or so. And he's doing the whole same thing, too, putting it in his starter. He's using it on residue management, just like John was talking about. And he has seen fantastic results as well, and I think he'll tell us something about it here.
All right. Here's Reggie Baker.
This year with this corn, we're seeing a little bit different. Last year we had a really adverse year, and this year we've had a little bit better weather and cooler weather. And we're seeing this is the second ear on the stalk, and we're seeing a lot better grain feel all the way from one end of the ear all the way down to the end. We're seeing a lot of a really long ear with really pretty corn on it. And this second ear is really just like a bonus, along with the plant being able to take in the nutrients that are out there available to it, and the nutrients being available to the plant and not tied up in the soil. I think that's a lot of where the second ear is coming from, and just the increased yield that we're going to see off that will definitely add up to the bushels that will make the Monty's worth the investment.
Matt, you can attest to some of the similar type results in corn in Ohio. Talk about that a little bit.
With the corn, we've noticed when we started using the carbon and even the Agrihance S, in our cool soils in the spring, it really helps. It's like giving it a Red Bull. It pops it out of the ground and it's going strong, and it really helps. And what you don't see, at least in my area, we don't see the big yield jump, but we're seeing consistency. And that's what I like to do. I like to bank on the consistency.
Very good. And with that, we again share our telephone number with you. Lines open for you to join the conversation, like one of our callers giving us a testimonial, really, of using it in a garden and situation, not necessarily row crops. We'd love to hear from you as well. 877-731-6733. Also, Joe, the website has a lot of information. We can't cover it all in 1 hour here.
Right.
And certainly welcoming listeners and viewers to go there and find out more.
Yeah, on our website as well, we have a lot of other videos, a lot like Reggie, and Matt's on there as well. And so they can visit that website and find out a lot of other information about other products that we have. I think there is a link on there to a new catalog that we just developed that is very great detail about our products, about the applications and everything. So we're trying to do everything we can to provide more and more solutions for farmers to cope with the challenges that they have.
Exactly. And you said, even though it's been a pretty good year for, I would say generally, the USDA says we're going to have a record crop, corn and beans. But even in those dry years, of course, you learn a lot about how you can do
you
raise
do.
a better crop when it's extremely dry. We've had those years. But you also learn in these good years, too, from what Monty's can do.
You do. In fact, I think farmers are beginning to understand, and again, I'll go back and relate to the soil health, that you can increase your soil health and really make your crops somewhat drought tolerant, because the beneficial bacteria that's in the soil is going to hold more moisture, it's going to be more activity. And we are seeing, or farmers are seeing, advantages of using our products, getting them through many stress periods in their growing cycle that actually puts bushels in the tank at the end of the year, and that's what it's all about.
Right, reducing those costs, Matt. Those every dollar, every acre counts, as you said, and that's again one of the benefits that you've seen. It sounds like I want you to say, but you've heard and experienced from Monty's.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And it's not always the volume that you take off the field, but you may see it in test weight. You may see a half point to a point increase in test weight, and that, in the end, adds up to bushels.
Sure.
All right, very good. We have certainly heard some great information, Joe and Matt, about successes of Monty's around the country, especially the Monty's liquid carbon. We're going to take another break here, and when we return, John Langdon will return and rejoin us as well. Hopefully hear from you. Telephone lines are open, 877-731-6733. Again, it's a toll-free call, 877-731-6733. We're heading down the home stretch. We want to hear from you. Rural America Live with Monty's Plant Food continues right after this. And welcome back to Rural America Live with Monty's Plant Food. I'm Mark Oppold. I've been spending time talking about the successes of Monty's products, and we thank you, those of you who have called, and a couple of you have witnessed and shared your story as well, especially Monty's liquid carbon, how they're contributing to soil health around the country. We're joined by Joe Dedman, Vice President of Agronomy, Matt Stoller from Ohio, John Langdon rejoining us from North Carolina. Our telephone lines are open. We look forward to hearing from you. It's a toll-free call, 877-731-6733. And we understand calls are coming in here, Joe, and as we get those lined up, maybe just walk us through. There's lots of other products. We could spend an hour probably on each one. That's and true. They all do different, have their all place in your product line.
That's true. We focused a lot tonight on the liquid carbon. However, Monty's is in the business to try and provide products that provide solutions for farmers' challenges. And one of our products that we've talked about here is our AgriHance line, which we have AgriHance S, V, and R, and farmers can check that out on our website. One of the newest products that we've had out for now for a couple of years is MicroHance.
Yeah.
That is a mixture of micronutrients, and it's really providing a big boost for farmers to put over their crops foliar. We've got the Agri-N product, and we've got a Sulfur 15 product, which is what farmers are starting to see more and more need of, is a sulfur on their crops. And then really the one that I think has kept as a secret is Nano Boost. It's an additive that farmers use in with their chemicals, and it's getting them better weed control. Kills bigger and taller weeds. It helps to take down some of these resistant weeds. So we ask farmers to take a look at that and try that in with their chemical program.
And what about news? Let's go down the line again. If you're just joining us, Matt Stoller next to Joe from Ohio and John Langdon on the end from North Carolina. I want to ask each one of you about using new products. What's the process maybe that you go through and other producers when you see a lineup? If you've tried the liquid carbon, what about trying another product?
Well, they built the credibility with it, and that's what comes to us. So when they bring a new product to us, we'll be up to chart. We've tried the Nano Boost, and I really like it. It makes the glyphosate or even Ignite that much hotter, and you don't have to up your rates, but it'll still take out the bigger weeds.
And using it where? On specific parts of the fields of the farm? That first season?
If you have the hard-to-kill weeds, we'll use it when we come back on the cleanup, second pass soybeans or corn.
John, how about there out in North Carolina using a new product?
Yes, we've used the sulfur as well this year and saw good results on our corn, as you saw in the video earlier. And we're using this hog effluent years and years and years. We feel like that we don't feel like, we know that our pHs are beginning to rise. So with the Monty's carbon and this sulfur, the carbon helps unbind the elements that are tied up in the soil, breaks the chains that hold them, and putting the sulfur on too, I believe, has been a very good benefit in our particular situation. Would rise the pHs due to irrigation over the years.
You have a demonstration video we're going to show here now, again, getting these callers coming in here. But this is something I look forward to each time, and now you're putting on video, so my job is even a lot easier. But tell us what we're going to see here, Joe.
Well, you know, but before we've done the side-by-side here demo here on the lab set, but actually I've gone out in the marketplace and gathered some other products that claim to be humics. In fact, that's how they're registered, as humics in the marketplace. But we did this little demo to show you that there is still a tremendous difference between all the other products that's on the marketplace that claim to be humics, even though they're even higher percentages, and that's what you're seeing here on the screen. Is it's a 72% humic, but yet it's not activated. It's not. It doesn't dissolve. Here's another one that's a 70% that doesn't dissolve. It's not activated, and one of the new ones on the marketplace is a pill, where they have turned it into a pill, but yet it still doesn't dissolve. It's a 70%, it's not activated. And then we're watching on the screen a 49% humic of Monty's product is totally soluble, it dissolves, it goes to work immediately. And that's why we're seeing the differences that we do when farmers are using it on their crops, their soils, all across all kinds of soil types, different farming situations, that farmers are starting to see great benefits from using our product over competitors.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, you also, with that, we have seen that you don't have plugging on spray nozzles with your product versus some of these others.
Yes, very clean product, easy to use. Farmers don't mess up their sprayers.
Which that,
I said I'll agree with that, or filters and fertilizer pumps on planters or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Very good. And again, that we have about 5 minutes left here to take your telephone calls. So lines are open. We'd love to hear from you here on Rural America Live, 877-731-6733. Matt and John eventually here. But if you're a producer watching, and maybe you're hearing about Monty's for the first time, or you've watched the show before, maybe I'll try that next spring. What would be, Matt, first of all, how would you, if you're a producer, it might still be a little leery, how would you approach using Monty's next spring?
See, this is where Joe and I disagree, but we agree. I say put it on your worst field first.
That's right.
Anybody can come on your good ground and do well on your good ground. Give me your worst field.
Worst field.
Worst field, your problem field, and try the carbon on it. Where Joe and I disagree is he'll tell you what they recommend for sustained rate that'll take you out 2, 3, maybe 4 years before you see results. I say if you're going to do it, put the money up front, put a gallon on up front, put the extra amount on if you want to see results in the first year. But I mean, it'll still work on the lower, it just takes more time.
That's right.
I'll get your reaction in just a minute here. I want to hear from John over there. John, if you're a producer out there, and you are a producer here, that's why you're here, glad to have you, and you haven't tried it before, your words to those producers out there.
I'm predominantly livestock, but we do have some crops. But I would say if you're planning on holding on to that ground, that do yourself a favor and try a portion of it. Maybe you don't want to drink the whole pitcher of Kool-Aid, but just take a cup of it and see for yourself. And that has been my approach, and that would be what I advise.
And so then again, and you get that from producers around the country. I've seen you at all these trade shows, and they come up by the hundreds, literally to talk to you, and they each will have their own way of approaching the use of Monty's.
And I agree with Matt from that standpoint. In fact, the video that we just saw before we went to this, you saw our product dissolve. Well, that's really what makes us be able to actually go out and write a prescription for that farmer to fix that problem field. And he's right. If you want to see faster results, you do put on more product. But usually the first hurdle out of the bag, most farmers will go, well, what does it cost? Well, we try and keep it down to that half-gallon rate based on cost. But when we're dealing with challenges and providing solutions, we do have to prescribe. Okay, you want to fix this? You need to put a gallon on. Sometimes it's even 2 gallons, depending on how severe the issues are in the soil. And we can make a difference even in a year, sometimes even in the growing season.
Yeah, how quick, people say, well, how quick might I see a change? Is it going to be, if I put it on next spring, am I going to see results right away next fall?
Well, you can, and most of the time we do. But based on the issues that the farmer is having, and that's one of the reasons we promote soil testing, looking at and analyzing the soil, seeing what's going on, then we can tell the farmer, this is the best application for you to fix your problem, and then they understand it. They go, you know what, that makes sense. I think I'm going to try it. And I'm like, John, we don't ever ask a guy to use it on all of his farm. Just try it. Try it on part of a field, split a field. Again, like Matt says, put it on your worst field, because you don't have anything to lose if you improve the worst field.
I guess that's right. And not just corn, beans, wheat, rye, talking about the garden, pastures, tomatoes, turf.
Exactly, absolutely.
If I can add to that too,
please.
By putting the higher rate on, like I was talking, it doesn't hurt anything either. I mean, I wanted to make sure you got that out. That
it's perfectly safe.
Yeah.
It's non-corrosive.
If you just want to see quicker results, you got to go with a higher rate.
Yeah. And when you consider you unbound those elements in the soil, as expensive as commercial fertilizer is, I don't feel like really it's costing you anything. It's making you money.
Yeah,
that's right.
And something we brought up before, you would producers would agree that the seed companies have done a great job with their genetics, the plant has all the potential to make these big yields, but sometimes it's the soil that holds it back.
Absolutely.
And you're experiencing that the soil does what it naturally can do, and the seed does what it's genetically designed to do.
That's right. My wife, being a veterinarian, recognizes the fact that nutrition is good on these cattle. Also, nutrition to the soil is good, because that forage that she consumes makes a lot of difference if she gets up after calving with milk fever as far as the balanced elements go. So we feel like this carbon is going to go a long ways in a grazing program as well.
Yeah.
We have one caller here for that we're going to squeeze in real quick from Ohio. Doug, this is you made it tonight. Welcome.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I've had the opportunity to use some AgriHands at V5 on some corn. We sprayed about 200 acres, and in walking in the last few weeks, we're seeing 2 additional rows on each ear. So we're very excited about getting in there to harvest to see the difference between where we put the Monties on and where we didn't. But just a little plug for them. It really looks like it's paid off.
What part of Ohio, Doug?
Central Ohio, just south of Columbus.
Very
so
good.
They've been out and worked with us, and we're very, very excited about Monty.
I appreciate the call. That's
Thanks,
a great,
Dad.
great way to end the hour here.
Yes.
In case, by the way, before we start to wrap things up, in case you're not able to get your questions answered, and the telephone lines we understand are open, folks at Monty's are going to be manning their phone lines until 10 p.m. Eastern Time. You can reach them at also a toll-free number, and here it is, 800-978-6342. Again, that's 800-978-6342. Our great folks at Monty's are going to stay a little overtime tonight to answer your questions. We're going to come down the line real quick here, about 30 seconds, and final thoughts. John Langdon, I appreciate you being here.
Balance science and economics, and be sustainable, and use the products that Monty's is offering, and use them, try them for yourself, see what your individual advantage of using them would be.
Very good. Thanks for being here and bringing your lovely wife with you as well. You're always welcome back anytime, please.
Thank you, Mark.
Matt Stoller, you're next. Your closing thoughts.
Great company to work with. They know what they're talking about, and they're really a hands-on company, and they'll come out and they'll work with you. And in my case, the Jewel Grain Company. I can't ask for anything more. Appreciate it.
Very good. And thanks for bringing Christy with you as well. And happy anniversary late this year, Joe Dedman. Thanks for bringing Sandy with you.
Yes.
Your closing thoughts here. Last word.
Well, it's just really great to work with farmers like this that we bring on the show, and that's the joy of working with this company, is we can provide solutions for farmers, and it makes their farming operation even more efficient.
And this is the time of the year the big payoff is coming.
It is.
It is already in some areas, but a great time of the year to see the results.
Very much.
Always good to have you here, Joe, and love our association with Monty's.
Yes.
Look forward to next
very
time.
Nice, very nice.
All right, very good. We presented a few solutions tonight to address the challenges that you're facing, we know, out in the fields, maybe in your garden, in your orchard. But if you have additional questions and want more information, it's available at montysplantfood.com, the website, montysplantfood.com. Or again, you can call Monty's. They'll be on the telephones until 10 p.m. Eastern tonight, 800-978-6342. Again, 800-978-6342. A reminder, Monty's will be taking your calls again until 10 p.m. Eastern. I'm Mark Oppold. Thanks for joining us. Good night.